One of the metaphors that I use all the time when I'm talking about sex is it should be like going to the playground. A lot of people approach sex with a very goal oriented view. And it's almost like, you're marching down a football field and it only counts if you cross the goal line. So you could have gone 98 yards, but if you don't score, it doesn't count. It's not worth anything. That is a lot of pressure to put on yourself and on your partner. If you have a goal, implicit in that is the possibility of failure that doesn't help, right? There's so much value in enjoying the journey and being less concerned with the destination, with this goal, with this idea that sex is all or nothing. And it doesn't count unless you score whatever that is for you. For a lot of couples, that's penetrative sex with orgasm, right? But whatever it is, if you have that kind of goal, you are imposing pressure in a way that can be a real barrier, especially to somebody that doesn't feel proactive sexual desire, that's not already aroused, in the mood, ready to go. Instead, if you realize that sex is just about pleasure and connection, it's not about what you do with what body parts, and it's not about a particular outcome. If you can treat sex like you're going to the playground. Now, I wish maybe it's like an amusement park. Sometimes I struggle over the childish nature of a playground, but the point is, it's the outing that counts. And there's lots of different things to do that you could enjoy. The whole thing's a win if you just go. You don't go to the playground with an agenda. We're going to do this and this and this. We have to go down the slide, right? You go and you see what you feel like doing once you get there. And you can't predict that. You don't know how long you're going to want to swing. You don't know if you're going to want to go on the monkey bars or not. You don't worry about that ahead of time. You just go and you get inspired, and maybe you get energized, and you thought you were really tired, but now once you're there, you're having fun. Or maybe you thought you had tons of energy, and once you get there, you just want to swing a little bit. It doesn't matter. The point of this is that there are so many options, so many ways to be intimate, and you can't fail. It doesn't matter what happens as long as the two of you are sharing some pleasure and connection in some way. If you could see sex like this and give yourselves the permission and the freedom to be less attached to what happens, and it has to go a certain way, and just treat it like this fun adventure we're on, and we don't know yet what we're going to feel like doing. Anything could happen. We don't know yet if it's going to go towards whatever we consider sex or orgasm yet, right? It doesn't matter. We can just, the pressure comes down. You're going to find that somebody with reactive desire who's not in the mood is going to be so much more willing to go and to see and to play, because the pressure has to come off. Now, one of the things that will come up with people when I talk about this, one of the barriers, what if my partner really gets turned on and then they're going to want sex? And what if I don't? So this is back to the conundrum, the difficulty of having an all or nothing approach to sex. We're either doing this thing or not. And if we start something, we have to finish it. This sort of yes or no approach to sex. If you're afraid that you're going to run into the situation and then what do? That's going to keep you from going there. That's another sort of pressure you could have in your head. So this is where the maybe comes in. We don't know yet what we're going to do. And we don't know yet what we would do with somebody's arousal. I probably need a better term for this, but the way I've talked about it is you need some other endings. If somebody gets really turned on at the playground and somebody doesn't, believe it or not, there are a lot of ways that the two of you could share an experience that allows the really aroused person to have an orgasm if they want one. It's not your job to get your partner off just because they're aroused. But maybe there's a way you could participate. There's sort of a continuum of this. On one end of the spectrum, you're doing the things that might bring them to an orgasm. On the other end, you could just be cuddled up with them, nibbling on an earlobe or something, caressing their thigh while they touch themselves. Or, I guess the really far end of the continuum is they could go masturbate or even just stop. But in between there are a whole variety of things the two of you could do together to share that experience. And it's based on what kind of capacity does the unaroused person have to participate and feel good about it? What can I offer today, this time, in terms of my involvement with your pleasure? And that line moves all the time, and I'm going to have to get good at figuring out what can I do and feel good about. Neutral or better is usually the instruction I give people. Neutral or better that I can participate in. And it doesn't really matter. It's still a shared experience. I still think of it as sex, right? You're still sharing pleasure and connection. So while some of this might be awkward, uncomfortable, unexplored, maybe you've just always had sex or not, you haven't done all this stuff in between, it might take a little practice. Everything starts out uncomfortable. We have to grow our comfort zone. We have to be willing to be uncomfortable to become more comfortable with something. But there are options. And having that flexible approach, like we're just going to the playground, and having a variety of ways to conclude that experience if someone were to get aroused enough that they want to have an orgasm, the pressure comes off. There's no more failure. There's no more fear that I have to do something I don't want to do or disappoint you. Like we just lower the stakes so much. So I really want to invite you to sort of embrace this idea, play with it in your relationship, see if it makes a difference.